Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We provide fan-oriented and analytic discussion on a variety of animated shows, movies, and anime, currently featuring Steven Universe, Miraculous Ladybug, and Star vs. the Forces of Evil, among others. I'm Justin Cummings, and today I'm joined by my partner in crime, Michelle Anderer.
Hey, everybody.
Michelle, in all her enthusiasm, and I will be discussing the Steven Universe episode Mindful Education. This is the feedback podcast. We're back, episode 2 of the revised.
Yeah,
the revived
going strong.
Feedback show.
Is it revived? Was it a thing before?
Because it was a thing in Too Deep. We took Summer of Steven off. We're back. New style. The host with the most, Justin Cummings. I'm calling myself that from now on. Hashtag it.
That is your name, so that makes sense.
Yeah, it is my name indeed. So, Thursday night, after the episode, as most of you know, Delaney hosted a most excellent episode discussion along with Michelle and myself. And after that episode, all of you sent in your comments, your concerns, your complaints, your questions, everything. And today is Michelle and I's job to answer all of it. Michelle, are you ready for this daunting task?
I'm so ready. Let's get into it.
Before we get into it, you can find that podcast, this podcast, and all our podcasts at overlyanimated.com or by searching Overly Animated on iTunes, your favorite podcatcher, or, I don't hear this discussed often, or you can subscribe to Overly Animated on YouTube. It's also just audio, but that is a great way you can subscribe and get it sent straight to your inbox as well. So if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, go ahead and do that, guys. All right. Typically, This is the part of the show where I ask whoever has not been on the episode discussion what they thought of the episode. But you were already on the episode, Michelle. So
yes,
my question
it's covered
for you is a new one. How many times have you listened to the new song?
Actually, it's been my bedtime music for the past 2 days, so a lot. And I listen to it at work, so I've heard it maybe like 52 times now. It's a really good song. Number. It's such a good song. What about you?
I'm somewhere around 10, maybe 12.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I have to be in like a certain mood to just be willing to cry a bit whenever I listen to it. It's a very emotional song. And I do love it. Are we in agreement it is the best song of the show?
I can't. Justin, I'm. If you haven't been able to tell, I'm really bad at ranking things as like a clear best.
Buy or sell. This is the best song ever.
Oh no! I'm gonna borrow again. I'm not gonna buy or sell it. I think it's definitely like top 5, which is like really really high. I think so. I'm gonna leave it at that. Do you think it's the best? Objectively,
I think it's the best of the show. I'd say so because My third favorite was Stronger Than You. My second favorite was Do It For Him. My first favorite was Full Disclosure. I think this just passed Full Disclosure for me. I can't even put my finger quite on why, but this was just very, very good.
It's very, very good. And it's like the longest, I'm pretty sure. It's like 3.5 minutes long. That's pretty long for the show.
It's the longest. That is definitely. All right. So let's get right into it. Tumblr asks, I get so many of these, and so many of them are anonymous, you guys. It's okay. I can read your name on the podcast, and you'll be like famous for 2 seconds, I did that all the time in high school. All right, so first, we have 2 asks, both anonymous, about Hollow Pearl, so I'm just going to go ahead and read both of those, and we'll just have an awesome Hollow Pearl discussion, if that's okay with you, Michelle.
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it. First one, I love that the hologram Pearls had a fusion dance. That's something Pearl would totally program them to do. And then,
yes.
And then the other one, I know it wasn't an important part of the episode, but I was just shocked to see Hollow Pearls fusing. This is where it gets really interesting. Do you think they can fuse with normal gems too? They all are just light projections after all. I know H-Pearls, which Hollow Pearls, I like that, apparently don't have their own minds and act according to program. But after seeing Jasper fuse with corrupted gems, I don't know what's possible and what's not anymore. Also, we're awesome, so keep it up. So thank you, Anonymous. We are awesome.
Thank you, yeah.
Now, Hollow Pearl discussion. Can a Hollow Pearl fuse with a gem?
I don't think so. I mean,
why? They're just light.
Yeah, but they're not. I think because when gems fuse, I feel like the gem source has to be involved in the fusion. So just like a projection itself, I don't think would be capable of fusing apart from Pearl's Pearl. I just don't think that'd work.
Okay, so Hollow Pearl's gem is also a light projection, correct?
Does Hollow Pearl have a gem? I've never
Yes, they have
noticed.
the gem, but I believe it's part of
Okay.
the
That's also a
projection.
projection, absolutely.
Right.
They don't actually have a gem.
So if they can fuse with themselves, yeah, here comes an interesting question then. Can Hollow Pearl and Hollow Garnet fuse?
Oh, I bet so. Yeah, I bet hollow gems can fuse with each other.
So we could, in theory, get like Hollow Alexandrite. So this could
I think
become a
so,
whole big thing
yeah.
if we wanted
That
it
would be
to.
really cool.
Why have we not done this yet, Crooniverse? Why?
Because I think Pearl's the one who really takes advantage of this
But
particular
if we're gonna fight a
ability,
homeworld
so...
and we need an army,
But I think Pearl has to kind of like concentrate to keep it, doesn't she? I mean, she kind of like...
not really. I
Yeah,
think she has
the
to create
one
it.
Hollow Pearl kept itself alive while she was incubating, but
Still,
I
that
don't
episode
know.
scares me.
Why don't they do that then? Yeah, why
Yeah.
don't they always have hollow people fighting their battles for them if it doesn't cost them any energy? That's a good question. I wonder that now
because they're not
too.
adaptive. In the heat of battle, they can't hang in there like Amethyst or Connie or Steven.
For a
They're good for
momentary
training,
distraction,
but-
though, yeah, I think they would be worth it, maybe.
Honestly, all you need to program Hollow Alexandrite with is Fire Breath, and you
Yeah,
don't need to do much.
these hollow,
Just-
it'd still be dangerous, I'm sure.
So yeah, getting into that more. Do you think that the fusion dance was created by Pearl, or did she simply program a dance and that's what they came up with?
I like to think she just programmed a dance, and that was like, dance, we can manage that, and it was like the most awkward,
We shall
jerky
dance.
interpretation ever, according to holograms.
I honestly, I like the fusion dance of the Hollow.
Yeah, I do too. It's just like, oh my god, what is this? What's happening right now?
I'm totally gonna do that in a party, just show up.
Oh my god, yeah. Like, if you're like,
Pearl.
this party's too quiet, I'll bust out some moves and just do that. It'll really, break the ice, I'm sure.
Hashtag do the Hollow Pearl, everybody.
Hashtag do the Hollow Pearl.
And then I missed this one. There was one more Hollow Pearl feedback question, and that is that height difference between Hologram Pearl and Stevani, though.
How extreme was it? I don't remember.
Hollow Pearl was rather tall.
Oh. Well, I mean...
Because Pearl's already, taller than both Steven and Connie.
Yeah, so, that makes sense. I guess.
Yeah.
Wasn't Stevani about the same height as Jasper?
Is Stevani Jasper's height?
I think she's pretty close. Or maybe I'm just remembering when they were riding the line, they seemed about as tall. It's hard to remember exactly, but...
And also, part of it does depend on storyboard as well. It really does.
Exactly.
That's the thing with any animation. It's going to depend on storyboard at times.
So maybe next time we see Hollow Pearls fuse, they will be, the same height. Who knows?
Right. That would be interesting. I'm excited to see more hologram fusion possibilities now that it's a concept we have. All right. So that wraps up the Hollow Pearl segment of the podcast. How would you objectively rank the Hollow Pearl segment, Michelle?
Why are we ranking segments? What's the point of that? We have a lot of questions to get through, don't we?
We do. So
so far it's at the bottom because there's nothing to compare it to.
Diving in, trying to figure out how to group these. I'm thinking we're just going to do all the Steven stuff.
Okay.
And then we're going to do Garnet stuff. And then we're going to do Butterfly stuff. And I think that will cover everything.
Wow,
and
okay.
Then if there's anything left, we'll wrap that up at the end. But this is a thought I've had for a long, long time. Frequent commenter Steve left this on the Overly Animated webpage. And I'm really, really intrigued by this, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts. He says, I tell you Amethyst is not in this episode for a reason. An episode about fusion, they are not ready for Connie to know about Smoky Quartz just yet. And that's going to be an interesting moment. Connie could become a little jealous. She and Steven share that bond that is fusion, and Steven just fuses with someone else, or brings back some of her past insecurities. Maybe she will think Stevani cannot keep up with Steven's fusions of gems, that they are just more powerful, and she might be holding Steven back. This is a concept I mentioned a long time ago, possibly on my very first podcast, in January. So I love this idea about how Connie will take Steven fusing with other gems, and we're finally at that point where it's possible. So what do you think about that, Michelle?
I think it's a real possibility that Connie might feel a little jealous or at least insecure about Steven fusing with gems, because I think Steve's right, because it's not that like Smoky Quartz, for example, would be stronger than Stevani, but it is like fusing with another gem, which is a different thing, and she's only really seen him like fuse with her, so it probably does feel like a special thing that's like their thing. And if it's not their thing anymore, maybe she will feel kind of bad. They're like, oh well, yeah, I can sword fight like crazy, but like I can't, I'm still a human, and this isn't even that special anymore. So that would be really interesting to explore. I could definitely see her taking it that way. She could also just be like insanely mature about it and not even care, but I think the potential for her to care a lot is definitely there.
And I think that would honestly be a very interesting episode, because we haven't had this discussion fully. We've kind of seen the whole Pearl, Amethyst, but I want to fuse with Garnet, but I want to fuse with Garnet. We've seen that.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think this, with Connie, who would be talking to Steven, because it's from Steven's perspective, the show, I think we would get a lot more. And I think it's such an interesting concept we haven't really dived into. Because, yes, fusion, we often see it as a metaphor for love and all this stuff, but it's also a battle tactic. So
exactly,
the question is going to become, where does the divide come in? What kind of relationship is fusion? I think we're going to have to get into that now that we have Steven fusing with gems. I originally thought this would be with Lapis. Like back in January, I predicted this. But
why? Why would he fuse with Lapis?
Because my theory was, if it was one of the other crystal gems, Connie wouldn't get as jealous because, they're his family. As opposed to Lapis, who she barely knows, who Steven barely knows.
I see.
But I like the route we're going, because I would be down if we somehow got like an Amethyst, Connie, like Steven versus Amethyst moment. If we got that fight, like that would be cool.
I don't think Amethyst would ever fight Connie in an angry, because because Steven, she's seen Steven fight and she knows like he's also a gem, so it's like he can hold his own. But with Connie, I feel like she doesn't know her that well and would feel kind of weird like actually trying to.
But if any gem would actually try to fight Connie, it would be Amethyst. And now
I think also Garnet probably wouldn't want to.
Yeah, I mean Amethyst I think would be the one to go for it though. Like I don't think Pearl would do it.
No,
outside of training. I don't think Garnet would do it outside of training. Even training, I know Garnet would definitely take it easy because Garnet is a fusion. But
I could see them having like a conversation, but I don't know. I don't know if Amethyst would like ever really want to fight Connie, unless Connie was like, "Fight me, like I'm not leaving till you do," kind of thing.
Ooh, and actually knowing Connie, I could see this happen. We're just writing season 5 for
if she was that like upset about it, maybe she would. But like I don't know. I feel like Connie like wouldn't.
She's only 12 3/4. You got to keep that in mind. I mean, I know she's very mature.
She's very mature for her age, though. She's a very thoughtful person. I don't think she's that impulsive normally.
All right, I'm going to keep going with the ones on the website, and then we're going to jump back to Tumblr because that's where the rest of them are. So next one from the webpage comes from Cell, I believe. Why is everyone saying Steven murdered people? Bismuth is alive, just poof. Jasper is corrupted, but it wasn't even Steven who poofed her in the end. Go, Peridot. The rubies are in space, but they were alive when last seen. An eyeball would have ended up just as alone in space if she'd killed Steven anyway. I completely understand why he feels guilty about those events. I would too, but I feel it's misinformative to talk about Steven killing people when they're, like, still alive. It's kind of factually incorrect. The only presumably real kill you could claim Steven making for sure is the painting/breakfast monster made from gem dust, which he pushed into that lava pit.
Oh,
That's episode 4.
Yeah.
I mean, the rubies might end up getting cracked in space or something, but there isn't that much stuff to crash into in space. Eyeball getting crashed by an asteroid was probably a case of protagonist-centered probability, and getting stuck in space sure is going to be terrible unless Homeworld comes looking for them. Eyeball seemed to have plans of bringing Rose's gem back to Homeworld somehow, though she may have failed to think of the practicalities. But they were all entirely alive when last seen. So yeah, this is interesting, because we frequently talk about how Steven has basically killed these people. And I think I kind of forget, because I see it as almost a metaphor, because it's a children's show, and because they are on Cartoon Network, there's certain things they still can't get away with doing. Like, if they were to start murdering people every other episode, Cartoon Network would not be that happy. And I've always seen this as kind of their way to counteract that. But, I mean, it is true. They're technically not dead. So, do you think that makes a difference, Michelle?
Oh, it does. I mean, and yeah, we did kind of talk about it in terms of like him literally murdering people. But yeah, I think it's partially that, you know, the network probably wouldn't allow that. I mean, that's also kind of why, like, isn't that why, like, in Avatar, like, they use bending because it was like a way to like do cool stuff without like really like physically hurting people with like their hands and like stuff. They just like bent stuff, so it was like more like kind of okay for kids.
I believe so. Plus, Avatar had a lower rating. It had a TVY 7.
Oh, psh,
Steven has a PG,
that
so
show
it can get
is
away with more.
yeah. But I mean, I think when we talked about it in terms of murder, I think we were more focusing on the like doing this to another person is such like a jarring experience, and it really does leave an impression on you. Even if they're just poofed, like as far as like human murder is concerned, they might as well kind of be dead, you know, because until they reform, like they don't really exist as a person.
They're basically comic book dead.
Yeah, they're comic book dead
until the writers have a need for them again.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I agree with that person. I think it is kind of a little misleading to phrase it quite that way, but I think essentially, like, the reasoning behind it is just that, you know, Steven, he's dealing with all this stuff, and it is very jarring and upsetting, and it does really affect people. So, yeah. Right. I feel like that's what we were essentially getting at when we said that.
Yeah. So, yes, that was our bad on describing this murder. I hope you all are not mad at us for our misinformation. And, since we're on Steven and we're talking about information, now is a great time to mention, I did a little research after the last podcast. I did find the voice actress for Stevonnie. It is AJ. I apologize, I cannot pronounce her last name, but if you remember Allie and AJ, it's that AJ. So, pop star from the mid-2000s, continuing the trend of fusions being performed by
good singers. Yeah,
and
very cool.
She did a really good job in this episode, especially. And I forget, she's only voiced her in 4 episodes.
That's crazy.
Like, we talk about Stevonnie so much, but Stevonnie's only appeared in 5 total, and one of them didn't speak.
Their presence is very strongly felt, even if it's for brief moments of time.
Oh, we feel the Stevonnie presence even when Steven and Connie are just in the same
room.
We
feel
together.
it.
Like, Stevonnie, are you there?
Oh my god.
It's me, Justin. Last website comment before we jump back to the Tumblr asks. Roy asks, we are just hurtling towards some sort of reckoning between the reality of who Rose really was and how the people who loved her perceived her. If she really does have a diary or something stored in the memory banks of her room, that would be great. That or it would be really interesting to have Steven have a frank discussion with Bismuth or Jasper about her. So there is a diary theory. I believe you know this one.
In the thing in the box? Is that the theory? Okay.
That's either a diary or a videotape or something of Rose's in that chest. In Rose's, in Lion's Mane, they have it looks kind of like a treasure chest.
Yeah.
On the far right side. And that's the only thing that we still don't know what it is. Because Bismuth, we eventually found out. There's the flag. The sword was kept there for a while. Mr. Universe, sure. The picture Greg also has. The chest is the only thing left. And so we're all kind of wondering on that. And most people believe it is either a diary of some kind, be it written or digital, or it is Pink Diamond.
She's just like hanging out in the chest. She kept
Bismuth in there in a bubble, so Pink Diamond needs the extra security of a box and then a
box. Bubble. Well, I like that way better than the Horcrux theory, so I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Hashtag Pink Diamond in a box 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to see a Rose diary. I think that would be the flashback episode that could trump The Answer as greatest flashback. Like, as far as plot developments go?
Yeah, if it really... And again, like, we still haven't had a flashback with Pearl to when Pearl met Rose. Like, why are they holding out on us, Justin? I've been waiting for that for, like, 2 years. Like, what's going on?
I want the flashback to when... Michelle, do you watch Adventure Time?
Yeah, I do.
Do you remember the episode I Remember You when they first revealed that... Spoilers for, like, season 4 of Adventure Time, y'all. When they first revealed, like, little Marceline meeting...
Ice King?
Yeah, Simon. And they're playing the song, and then in the song they cut to the flashback, and Simon walks up to little Marceline, gives her handbow. It's such a sweet, memorable moment. I think it won an Emmy, maybe. But that episode was storyboarded by someone by the name of Rebecca Sugar. Maybe you've heard of her.
Another person too.
Someone. Well, and someone else, but
someone else. Who cares about them?
But the point is, Rebecca Sugar, I'm hoping, has remembered this little trick of cute flashback via song, because what I want to see is a song start and then we flash back to Rose wandering into the kindergarten and finding little Amethyst all on her own.
Aww.
And I want that more than any other episode at this point. Like, that's what I want.
Why that?
Because I mean, we've gotten so much Pearl backstory, even though we haven't seen
Absolutely.
the flashback.
Like, we should have more Amethyst. We are in agreement about that.
We are getting so much. We've gotten a little bit more about Rose and Amethyst's connection. We got that and kind of cracked the whip with the whole Rose said I was perfect. And I want to see that moment. I want to see Rose meeting Amethyst. It doesn't even need to be like a full flashback episode. I just want to see that cute moment when Rose just finds this little forgotten, overcooked gem.
Swimming on like sticks or something.
Perfect, you know?
Rocks. Yeah.
I think that would just be such a sweet episode. And I picture it's during a storm, and it would be great, y'all.
You have a whole aesthetic and already planned out for it.
Yeah. I'm writing season 5 right now. But what do you think about...
That's the kind of fan fiction you need, to be honest.
I like that kind of fan fiction.
Yeah.
What do you think about Steven having a discussion with Bismuth or Jasper about Rose?
I mean... Again, it wouldn't be like an objective discussion because they both have such very particular relationships to Rose, and both of them are kind of negative at this point. So, especially Jasper. So, I mean, I think the show's been doing a good job of like giving Steven enough like perspectives briefly of what other people think who aren't the crystal gems, which is very much needed. But if you like actually sat down with like Bismuth and talked about Rose, I feel like he still wouldn't be getting the whole story, you know? He's never really going to get the whole story, but it would be nice to contextualize it based on everything else we have going on. And especially for him deciding how he, like, actually feels about his mom, which is obviously such a huge, like, question right now. It has changed a lot, and we're seeing that change, especially in this episode, but we still don't quite know how he feels. I think it's like, you know, it's a process.
I kind of picture this going not completely objectively, but a lot like Zuko talking to Ozai in the prison. I think we saw a bit of that in the finale, but we got more of it in the comics. That kind of moment where you don't know if they're telling the truth. You don't know how much is real, how much is false, but you needed to have that discussion, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I could see that kind of thing happening. Do you think we would get it this season, though?
This season,
if it happens, would we get it this season, or would it be like next season?
I think maybe like a Jasper discussion might happen this season. Bismuth, I mean, I feel like Bismuth's coming back. I don't know in what capacity though, but I feel like Jasper, we might get an actual conversation with Jasper for some reason. Jasper is more of a character right now, I think, than Bismuth, just because she's been more in the story. So I think it would probably be from Jasper, and I think this season's a good place for it. I don't think they haven't really been dragging this stuff out as much as they did like the first season and a half. So
we're like, it'll be next season. Yeah, oh, it's tomorrow.
We could definitely get it this season, I think, for sure.
All right. So more Steven stuff. Jumping back to Tumblr, Anonymous asks again. I thought Steven and Connie's fusion dance was cute. Yes, it was. Thank you for believing that. And it was cool to see that when they fused, Steven's gem glowed, indicating something we all assumed, which was that Steven's gem takes full control of making the fusion.
Yeah.
And I wonder this more now, after we saw... Oh, which one was it? Earthlings. When someone got a great still shot of them unfusing from Smoky Quartz, where it's amethyst. It's not like they form a ball of light and then separate. It was amethyst like unwrapping around Steven, basically.
Wow, interesting.
So the way they form is basically her gem form wrapped around him and like enhanced it, which makes sense for how Smoky Quartz looks when you think about it, because it looks still very Steven, just kind of slightly bigger. So if that's how Steven fuses with the gem, how does he fuse with Connie? Just because when
she wrap Connie, around,
it looks like a full it's like the standard ball of light thing as opposed to the weird amethyst thing we saw in that one frame.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe he has to form around her because her body can't really do that.
I think the human part. This goes way back. There was a discussion on this topic of how Steven and Connie fuse, and the answer is ultimately we don't know, but we think
Right.
there's this whole thing of the gem injects the human DNA with its ability to transfer, and then Steven connects to Connie, which transfers the. We don't know.
What? Yeah.
We
Short
don't
answer,
know.
we don't know.
The short answer is we probably will never know unless they publish a scientific guide to Steven Universe, which get on that Cartoon Network.
Mm-hmm.
We would all buy it. All right, next one, more Steven stuff, this time about his powers. It's interesting to see that Stevonnie seems to share Steven's powers. I wonder, do they have all of Steven's powers, including the healing spit, dream powers, and etc., etc.? But wouldn't that be implied, seeing as fusion combines the powers abilities of each gem, well, in this case, of each person? Thoughts?
I guess potentially they could have all of Steven's powers, but I don't know. I mean, does that mean like Garnet literally has every like facet of Sapphire and Ruby? I always thought it was more of like a hodgepodge. Like certain things stuck, other things kind of like melted to the background, but like what was accentuated more or less had to do more with just like the chemistry of fusion
Right.
than just like literally dumping everything into it and calling it good, you know?
Right.
What do you think?
I think they'll have all of Steven's powers for this reason. Connie has no gem powers to contribute to the fusion.
Mm-hmm. She does have like coordination powers though.
The uncanny ability of balance.
Yes, she probably does have that.
It's like in Die Hard.
Mm-hmm.
Most fusions, though, there's so many gem powers, it would start to kind of overwhelm each other. So I think, like Opal, we're never going to see Opal do Amethyst's little spin move. Probably.
Yeah,
Probably.
maybe
Watch it
not.
happen,
That would be really
next
great,
week,
though.
and just everything I say turns to a pile of garbage. But there's no overwhelming of fusion powers or gem powers because there's only one set of gem powers present. So I don't think it would mess anything up because they still have one gem set of powers for one gem.
And I think, Stevonnie's, that's something that they're really figuring out too. Like, they didn't know till this episode that they could float, and this isn't the first time we've even seen them fight, so maybe it's something that one, only is going to be manifesting as Steven gains more control of them in general, or two, like, it depends on the circumstance. Who knows?
On what we need.
Yeah, because like when Alexandrite was fighting Malachite, they were changing their weapons based on like what was convenient for that like fraction of fighting. So maybe Stevonnie could do something like that too and adjust powers based on what they needed.
Right. I see.
Yeah, we don't know, but I think that's as plausible a theory as any.
On to the next one. This is more, it's specifically Stevonnie. It's kind of all fusion. Another anonymous. I'm glad we got explained what the hallucinations Stevonnie was seeing were. And they also solidified that even with one person in a fusion as conflict, the entire fusion will fail. Just like as we saw with Garnet and Keystone Motel when Ruby was mad at what Pearl did. And what we can assume was Pearl and Sardonyx when she felt bad about Smoky Quartz in a recent episode.
I agree. Was that really a question? It seemed more like
kind
a statement.
Kind of a comment. So
yeah, but I agree with that.
Is it a good statement?
I don't want to objectively rank statements. I think it's fine.
Do you buy, borrow, or sell that statement?
Oh my god, I'll buy it. I'll buy it, Anon, just for you.
Thank you.
Did you write it? You didn't write it.
I did not, but you bought it for me.
No, I bought it for Anonymous. Yeah, not for you.
No one would ever do anything for me on this podcast.
Oh my god, that's not true. But you can't go taking Anonymous's moment, away from them.
Anonymous. But yeah, I think this is pretty solid. We have a lot of evidence for this. It's not like 100% confirmed, but yeah, it's pretty solid. Next one, poor Steven. He has so many regrets to be so young, but seeing Rose was particularly interesting. I wonder, what does he feel responsible for with her? For everyone else, he said how he tried and he had no choice, but for her, they were just in shock and could only say no. I hope this gets explained later on. We touched on this Thursday night. The obvious that we came to was, it's my fault she's dead. Because Rose is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. She is the closest to dead we have of any gem besides maybe Pink Diamond.
I mean, I agree. I also kind of wondered if, like, just because her expression is so particular, if maybe she was like, it was like his anxiety about her judging him for being different from her and making choices she wouldn't have made, even though everyone like expects him to be like her. But my friend Matt actually, he pointed out last night that he felt like maybe it was also just like a representation of Steven just like actually genuinely starting to be afraid of Rose in a way that he really wasn't before. And I think that's a really interesting idea too. If we end up going that direction, I think it'd be really, because like, yeah, he's hearing all this stuff from all these different sides, and it is starting to sound really scary. Like his mom did potentially shatter a diamond, and he thought that's something she'd never do, and you know that she would poof bismuth and just like all this stuff.
Steven is basically Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Except Luke got to meet his father. Will Steven meet Rose? I hope.
Everyone wants that, so
Yes.
maybe it'll happen.
All right, and now we have two very similar questions. One from Anonymous, one from the Teen of Steel, frequent Tumblr asker. In fact, I'd say the VIP Tumblr asker.
Ew, VIP.
They're the only one that uses their name.
Oh my god, Justin. What kind of criteria is that?
I'm salty. Imagine Stevonnie fusing with Garnet. I think they could possibly be the same height as Sardonyx. I want this. So bad.
Oh, I would love that. I would love to see Stevonnie fusing with more gems.
I would honestly prefer it not be Stevonnie fused with Garnet. I want to see Ruby, Sapphire, Steven, and Connie all fuse and just see their little fusion dance, like the four of us, because Ruby would be like
all the shorties
dancing, and Sapphire would be ballroom dancing, and Steven and Connie would be Steven and Connie, and just boom. Stevarnet. That's a very unattractive name. Stevarnet. Hashtag Stevarnet.
No, not hashtag Stevarnet.
No hashtag? Alright, and then Teen of Steel, very similar. My dream is for Opal, Stevonnie, and Garnet to be in a fight together. They would literally be a fusion dream team.
In a fight? Oh, I thought you meant like in a fight against each other. And I was like,
okay, well that would be cool, but no.
No, but yeah, fusions together. Like Opal, that'd be so cool.
Garnet, Stevonnie, like lined up, and then just throw in Lapidot, please. Thank you.
Oh my god, are you more of a Lapidot than an Amidot shipper, Justin?
I would prefer we get a Lapis Peridot fusion first, but But as far as shipping, I am more Amidot. But this might be my first official poly ship. So.
Ooh, yeah, get in on that poly ship. That stuff's good. Yeah.
So.
One a lot of people have also been wondering about in terms of like super gem fusions is when Steven's going to fuse with the other main crew, and if he does, if it'll look like the temple or not.
Let's throw Stevonnie into Alexandrite and watch what happens.
Just throw them and see if they stick together.
I could see Peridot like lifting them or like using metal powers of some kind, like Amy and Canning, just firing Stevonnie at Alexandrite and just boom, fuse.
That would be really interesting.
Because we used to think it had to be a fusion dance, and now we're like, dance doesn't stop fuse? Fine. A fist bump into fusion? Fine. You know, whatever you want to do.
The dancing made sense because it's about just like being in sync and like the motion of moving with each other makes sense. But like as long as you're in sync anyway, I guess like you don't have to do much. The rubies didn't do much to form, did they?
Well, but they're the same gem species, so they don't really need to probably.
Maybe. If they are like mindy, I guess that would make sense.
Right, because they don't need to be in sync because they're already in sync basically. And we've got one more Garnet question. Not really a question, it's a comment. Garnet told the phone joke was too priceless. It was even more funny how serious she sounded when saying it. That was
so funny. I wasn't expecting it. I mean, that's one of the things I love about the show, because there's so many moments that just like really take you by surprise because they're really funny. And it's like, I wonder how they boarded that. Like, I wonder who decided that was the joke they were including. Good job on them.
And the thing is, it's not just a callback. Like, there's been some great callbacks in the last few episodes. This was not just a callback to Steven's line in the message. This was also when Garnet officially won Best Mom Award, because she listens to what he says and his mannerisms and then uses them to calm him down.
One of my favorite Garnet jokes is the one from Future Vision, which is like, I drink coffee for breakfast. I think that's really funny.
I think the best Garnet joke, though, is, or not even a joke, but Garnet, master of comedy.
Yeah, that was really good. Oh my god,
awesome.
Garnet.
We could just have a whole episode of top 10 Garnet quotes.
That should be a separate podcast that we do.
I have so many roundtable ideas. It's not.
Oh my god, I'm sure you do.
But we won't be having those for a while, as we'll discuss later in this episode. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Last topic, guys. Let's talk about those butterflies. Let's dive right in.
What's up with them? Yeah.
What's up with the butterflies? Are we watching Miraculous Ladybug? Who knows? Teen of Steel, another great Tumblr ask. Great episode. I love when a song has plot or character development with it. But why could Steven see a butterfly on the sword? Was that a visual cue for us, the audience, or did he actually see the butterfly? And why did the sword just now bring up all those repressed feelings all of a sudden?
Ooh,
I
think
my big question.
Because I have some answers to that.
Give me your answers. Give me the answer. It's story time.
Story time. So in terms of the sword, I think so. Part of it is that Steven, as he mentions in the beginning of the episode, when like Kai's like, I'm feeling really horrible. He's like, oh yeah, sometimes you regret what you do, but you just need to not think about it. That's been his approach. Like every one of the bad things that's happened in the past like week for him, he's just been trying not to think about at all. And I think, seeing Connie go through that, but then address it and feel better makes him kind of question his own process. And then he looks over at the sword and is reminded, probably for one of the first times, about that event. And that's why the butterfly's there. Because it's like, hey, Steven, you got your own stuff. Don't you remember what happened with this sword like a week ago? So that's why that was there, I think. And also it was just foreshadowing in a bigger way for Steven to have his moment of, confrontation with all those inner demons.
Well, this is also the first time Steven was expected to use the sword since Bismuth, via Stevani, mind you. But in Crack the Whip, I think Connie had the sword. Crack the Whip, never mind. Crack the Whip was... Actually, yeah, Crack the Whip was before Bismuth. We have not seen the sword at all since Bismuth. So,
true, but he did fight as Stevani with the sword like the day before.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think this is the moment when he's really like looking at the sword and like thinking about things for the first time. That's true.
And thoughts pop up randomly, people.
Yeah, they do.
It's like you're trying to sleep and, oh no, I did something awful in second grade. I'm not sleeping tonight.
That's why you listen to the song, Justin, because it tells you it's okay and,
or you
it's fine.
3 a.m. where thoughts can't control you anymore.
Oh my god. Everyone has their own process, I guess, Justin. That's just yours.
And then, butterfly. Was the butterfly on the sword real, or was
I think so. I think it was real for Steven. I don't know if Connie would have been able to see it, but I think for Steven it was real.
Was it a real butterfly, or was it like a gem vision perception butterfly?
Well, it was a gem vision perception, but I think Steven was still fully aware of it.
All right. And now, final question of the night, morning.
Wow.
Whenever this is going up.
Whenever this is going up.
We live in limbo.
Constant limbo.
Overall, great episode, but I'm still confused on what those butterflies are supposed to represent. I'm initially thinking a negative thought or experience that's been repressed, as we saw with Connie and later Steven with the butterfly on the sword. But then why did Sapphire have hundreds of butterflies swarming around her? I don't see her as having that much negative thoughts, so they must represent something else. Thoughts?
We kind of talked about that last podcast, didn't we?
We did. I don't think they're negative per se, as much as just heavy ideas.
Yeah, heavy ideas because she has the particular ability to see the future. And for her, she probably is constantly weighted down by so many probable outcomes that are very upsetting. And just like the weight of all that in general is exhausting. And that's why like visually seeing it overwhelmed her, I think really portrayed what that process is like for her probably on like a daily basis. Whereas Ruby, as I think Delaney pointed out, she just has that one thought bothering her like crazy, and she's just like micro focusing on it. It's the only thing she can think about, and I think that's also really telling about the kind of character she is. So I really love the whole sequence. I thought we definitely got some nice insight into both of them. Just not through saying anything, but just through seeing how they reacted to both having memory issues.
And the thing is, the thoughts themselves are not bad. I think the episode made that clear where Garnet, especially that one shot, I didn't notice it the first time, where Garnet has one butterfly on each palm.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and she's just holding
not shooing them away. She's not mad at them because they're beautiful butterflies. They really are. It's when you let them take control and surround you that they become negative.
Exactly. It's just about like managing the butterfly / thoughts and trying to find peace with them instead of letting them hurt you to an extent where you feel overwhelmed. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I really like the analogy because I think this is going to be something we're talking about for a long time. I expect many articles will be written on this, both on this website and other websites, if you ever go to those places.
If you ever go to any other website.
There's other websites? Yeah. What?
Hypothetically, I suppose so.
I mean, I guess there have to be, but we don't like to talk about that. Okay, so I did mention we're going to dive a little bit into what's coming up.
Yes.
Spoilers for episode titles only. If you do not mind hearing episode titles, then
proceed.
You're fine. If you do not want to hear episode titles, tune out now. We are done with our coverage. We have our little end after that. But if you do not want to hear any episode titles, you've probably already heard the titles. They're not things we haven't heard, honestly. So if you don't want to hear them, tune out now. Just know that according to Wikipedia, we will be getting new episodes through September 15th on Thursdays. So more weekly Steven, so more weekly feedback show. How do you feel about that, Michelle?
This is great. I mean, I feel like the Steven drought's definitely over for a while, and I wasn't expecting, after the last season, I thought they were going to hold out on us for like another year, so this is great.
Drowning.
Selfish me, like, I don't care, as long as you have them, give them to me, like, in any capacity, like, leaks, spoiler, I don't care, I just want to know everything.
I want all the Steven.
Exactly. Very one-track mind, but that's how it is.
I want Steven more than Jasper wants Rose.
Oh my god.
So next Thursday, September 1st, we're getting Future Boys Ultron. We've already had this talked about. This is the only one with a description. Steven tells people's fortunes at Funland. This sounds like it's going to be the stupidest episode ever.
But, like, who knows, right? Who knows?
This is right up there with the episode description for Lion 3 straight to video, which was Lion sleeps on Steven's face. So,
I think that one Matt Burnett tweeted about a year ago and is like, we're paying an homage to a very particular like anime, and I'm so excited. If that's this one, then it's probably going to be really...
I thought that was Beach City Drift.
Was it? I don't think so. Well, then what was that referencing?
Because it had the episode... Speed Racer.
Speed Racer. I don't know. I feel like it might be this one.
I will do some hunting.
Because I know Future Boy Conan was like a big influence on Steven Universe in general for Rebecca, so I imagine this one would be more higher priority. I don't know. We'll see.
After that, September 8th. Again, I've only seen this on Wikipedia. I haven't looked other places, but tentatively speaking, this should be it because they actually have dates listed. September 8th, Gem Harvest. Finally.
Yeah.
Finally.
I mean, we'll see what that means, because I remember thinking like some of the episodes were going to be really intense, and they were like so we'll see. It is quite an exciting title, though.
It will be one of two things. It will be we find out what Peridot meant when she said harvesting me.
Yeah.
I got a separate temple ask, not about this podcast at all, but this idea that kind of like the temple is made from like harvested gems, and that harvesting is like turning them into non-sentient beings anymore, like making them inanimate. Like you harvest like the programming.
Okay.
Interesting idea.
Interesting
I'm
idea.
excited. Or I thought Hit the Diamond was going to be another Yellow Diamond episode. It turned out to be baseball. Gem Harvest could easily be Farmer Peridot.
She does have at least that one gem in the barn now that she could farm, I guess, if she wanted to.
No, I mean like tractor, straw hat.
Oh my god.
Piece of weed.
There's the aesthetic farming again. Just a whole farmer episode with Peridot. Peridot would look great as a farmer.
Peridot would so do it.
Overalls. It'd be great.
Peridot would be driving around on a tractor singing E-I-E-I-O at the top of her lungs. And it would
Lapis would just be watching more trashy TV.
I kind of want this, just not as Gem Harvest.
Yeah.
September 15th, apparently we're getting 2 episodes back to back, which it's a weird pairing. First is Tiger Philanthropist, which is a callback, of course, to Tiger Millionaire. Interesting thing here, I don't think it'll have any bearing on the episode. Tiger Millionaire is a reference to wrestler Ted DiBiase Sr., the $1 Million Man. He was a frequent manager, interfered a lot, heel character. In reality, though, much like Steven, he's a great dude. Like, he's a pastor, he's a missionary, he's a cool dude, a lot of charity. So this might, I don't know if this has any bearing, but the fact that that coincidence exists makes me happy. Because I'm a wrestling nerd.
Are you? Interesting.
I am, yeah, no way.
More than one interest at a time. That's fascinating.
So many. So Tiger Philanthropist, and then apparently paired with that episode at 7:15 p.m. on September 15th, we're getting Last One Out of Beach City.
Yeah, I'm excited about that one. It just seems like such a big episode. And if they're airing them together, if it's a double feature, then maybe it's like a really big, maybe it's going to be another one like Bismuth, where they're both connected plot-wise.
I expect more along the lines of a Crack the Whip, Steven versus Amethyst level of connectedness.
That's still pretty connected, though.
Well, but you don't need them.
Yeah,
together.
You don't need them, but we'll see.
For Watermelon Island Gem Drill, you need. Bismuth has one piece. One Piece. Beta Earthlings you need together, basically. But, I don't know. It'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting.
I have no... Gem Harvest, we can guess what it's about. Last One Out of Beach City, we can guess. I have no clue what Tiger Philanthropist is about.
I really want it to be an Amethyst episode, maybe about her doing some kind of wrestling thing, and like it turns in a fascinating character building direction that we've never explored.
We then see
girls
going to the kindergarten and finding Amethyst.
I want Amethyst to sing more.
I do too.
Since Tower of Mistakes, has she really sung?
I mean, she had a line in Peace and Love on the Planet Earth and what have you, but no, not
not the same.
It's not the same.
She needs a whole song.
She does need a whole song. All right. So through September 15th, at least, it's okay. And Last One Out of Beach City seems like a good spot to go to hiatus if we're going to go to hiatus. You know, that seems like it's going to be a big episode. I'd rather we go to hiatus after that than, say, Buddy's Book. Actually, Buddy's Book was book. Kiki's Pizza Delivery Service would have been a bad place to go to hiatus. Last One Out of Beach City is a good point to let us just
Everyone would have been like, this show's really going downhill. I don't know what this Kiki episode was. Like, what is this? But
you think you're going to please us with just mild anime references? We need more than that, Rebecca Sugar.
We'll watch anything you give us, though, at the same time, you know. We'll eat it all up.
So for whatever reason you enjoy that and me yelling at Rebecca Sugar via proxy of the fandom, you can support us on Patreon. There's that segue. Patreon.com/overlyanimated. You can sign up as little as $1 a month, or I think you can also just do a donation of $1 on up. You get all kinds of cool rewards, including getting your name read on our podcast, as well as your special Overly Animated exclusive patron nickname. Thanks so much to our current patrons: Mitch, Cordell, Beatrice, Nate, Andy, Jamie, Rachel, John, Ryan, Catherine, Taylor, Devon, Jade, John, and Phoenician, a.k.a. Fever Mitch, Cordell University, Beatrix Lestrange, Nathan Fillion, Buzz Lightyear, Mailman, Rachel Rose, Johnny Bravo, Brian, Cookie Cat, Needle, Diamond Day, Jewel, Garfield, and To Be Determined.
We always have a To Be Determined, yeah.
It's like you will be to be determined until we get another one, because we can't.
Exactly, then we'll know we can't have two, so we have to figure out the next one.
It's like a rite of passage.
Yeah.
So upcoming podcast, of course, we will have Steven episode reviews and feedback for the foreseeable future through September 15th at least. Does Star have a return date yet, Michelle?
I do not know. I do not think so.
I thought it was a 3-week hiatus. I could be wrong.
We'll find out.
We will find out in approximately 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We have our Miraculous Ladybug podcast going up Sunday. That's our weekly roundtable. This one is on our top 5 villains each. That's Dylan Delaney and myself, so stay tuned for that. Monday, of course, my Total Drama review blog will go up. We are nearing the end of season 1. We are fingernails away now. We're down to the final 4.
Justin is so excited. He can barely contain himself.
Because I love season 2 more than anything else. Like, it is my favorite animated series is season 2. and I'm very excited for that because we're almost there, and I love the season 1 ending, and after it's over, I'm going to do a top 10 episodes discussion, or not discussion, but list, blog thing, because I don't write about that show enough. So, yeah, guys, stay tuned. Got a lot coming up. Voltron later this year. That's about all I know. So, thank you for listening, guys. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.